Welcome, everybody, to the Disadvantaged Communities Advisory Group meeting for May 15th, 2026. I'm Chris Walker, the DACAG Chair Pro Tem. Before we do a roll call, quick reminder, Senate Bill 544 requires members of the DACAG who are participating remotely to remain visible on camera. If you have challenges with internet connectivity during the meeting preventing you from being visible to the other members and the public, you must publicly announce the reason you're off camera as soon as possible. And we will now proceed to roll call, and I'll read names one by one. Chris, I am here. Elena?
Sorry, finding unmute. I'm here.
Welcome. Jim?
Here.
Roman? We have a note that Roman is joining at 2. So we're going to lack quorum until he gets here, and we'll make the necessary adjustments to our agenda. But Sarah?
Present.
Tonight? And Councilman Vasquez?
Here.
Thanks, everybody. We need 6 members for quorum. Sorry?
Is Sanai absent?
Correct.
I didn't hear.
Yes.
Okay.
Tonight is absent.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So with that, we did not have quorum for the moment, and we'll move forward, but not with voting items until we have Roman here. But for now, let's turn to item 2, general public comment. Agency staff will provide meeting reminders and instructions. Zara?
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm Zara Jamshed, Senior Regulatory Analyst and DACAG Liaison for the CPUC. I'm joined by Eleanor Willman with IT support for the CPUC, as well as Dorothy Marimi, DACAG support for the CEC. We're joined by legal support from Vanessa Baldwin with CPUC and Rachel Schuen from CEC, as well as CEC Public Advisor Ryan Young. This meeting is recorded and will be held both remotely and in person here in San Francisco. Chris will facilitate, take public comment, and conduct roll call votes for items the DACAG is voting on to ensure a clear record. The group may also take public comment for substantive items being presented today. For DACAG members, please note that member absence doesn't exclude you from voting on items of materials. The voting items today are going to be the DACAG meeting minutes, which is item 4, and potential officer elections, item 8. And another public comment period will occur at the end of the meeting. The webinar has closed captions to increase accessibility. To use the closed captions, click the CC icon at the bottom left to turn the captions on. To see more options, click the 3 dots on the caption box and tap the CC icon again to stop. The chat is disabled for attendees. Panelists may use it for technical, procedural, or legal questions. Now to public comment instructions. There are 2 ways to comment. First is via written comments via the CEC docket system. Visit the DACAG's webpage on the CEC site, search California Energy Commission DACAG, or use the provided links from the notice. Click Submit Comments. And then on the comment page, read the instructions carefully, provide the required information, enter your comment or attach a file, click Agree and Submit or cancel if you change your mind. And then for any questions, contact the docket team there's information on the slide and on the page. The second way to comment is in-meeting comments. If you're here in the room with us, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. For folks online, please use the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm. For those joining by phone, press *3 to raise your hand and press *6 to mute and unmute. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker with 1 person per organization. A timer will be shown on the screen and we will alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Now is an opportunity to comment on all DACAG members, including those on today's agenda. Seeing no comments in the room, we'll turn to WebEx. We have a raised hand from Roger Lynn. We requested that you can unmute. You should be able to unmute and give your comment.
Thank you, and hello, DACAG members. Roger Lynn. I'm a senior attorney with the Center for Biological Diversity. I'm part of the Affordable Energy Campaign. And great to see you again. And also for the new members, it's nice to meet you virtually over this. I was an inaugural member of the DACAG way back and have served 3 terms before terming out, and understand how busy this group is, but do have a request today related to the Public Utilities Commission's disconnections and arrearages proceeding, which is rulemaking 18-07-005. Thank you to the group for submitting a letter on the important issues of disconnections and recommending better mitigations and to prevent disconnections. And today I want to talk about the extreme heat protections. The letter does say that the DACAG supports lowering the current temperature threshold that triggers disconnection protections due to extreme heat. But since the DACAG submitted its letter, OEHA has been able to revamp or roll out its Cal Heat Score mapping tool. Cal Heat Score was released in 2024, and it is a web mapping tool that uses a heat health ranking system to provide awareness to local and regional extreme heat events. It translates weather information into easy to understand heat scores ranging from 0 to 4 that reflect increasing levels of human health risk from extreme heat impacts. So Cal Heat Score 4 represents severe and extreme heat day. A major increase in heat-related health impacts is expected for everyone in a certain zip code. The data is granular enough to go into zip code. Cal Heat Score 3 is high, hot day. Increase in heat-related health impacts is expected for everyone, especially for those without access to adequate cooling and hydration. Cal Heat Score 2 is moderate, which is a very warm day. A moderate increase in heat-related health impacts is expected among those sensitive to heat. The decision in the disconnections proceeding D25-06-012 requires the PUC to revise extreme heat disconnection protections to something more stringent in line with your letter, your April letter, than what is currently required. What's currently required is 100 degrees. So the current trigger is 100 degrees for extreme heat protections, and that decision says we need to make it more stringent. Cal Heat Score 3, in looking at areas in Fresno and Bakersfield, Cal Heat Score 3 equates to 101 degrees. So adopting Cal Heat Score 3 would not be stronger. Cal Heat Score 2 in Fresno and Bakersfield relates to 95 degrees. So the decision requires the adoption of Cal Heat Score 2, not Cal Heat Score 3. And we request, if it's possible, for during the priority items discussion to put in an addendum, again, clarifying that when the DACAG requested that the current temperature threshold be lowered, it be lowered to require the adoption of Cal Heat Score 2. And right now this is being deliberated, and we do expect a resolution from the Commission Energy Division staff soon. So this is a fairly urgent request, and sorry for going over time, but again, hope that this can be discussed and an addendum can be submitted clarifying that when the priority items discussion comes up. And I'm happy to stick around for a little bit to go over, as I've been a member of this group for 3 terms, the ins and outs of how you could do that. And but yes, thank you for the time.
you. I see
Thank
there.
you. I was just going to quickly thank the commenter, Mr. Lin, for his comments. I'm happy to take that up later on in the agenda if other members are open to that.
Great.
Yeah, I think we can take it up during our priority areas discussion.
Sounds good.
Great. We have one more raised hand. Rima Bazi, you should be able to unmute and give your comment.
Hi, yes. Before I move into my comment, apologies, this is my first time participating in this meeting. Particularly for agenda item number 5, the Clean Transportation Program Investment Plan update. Will y'all be taking comments after that presentation, or should comments for that be made now?
We will be taking comments for that item, so it's up to you if you want to give your comment now or at that time.
Okay, I'll save my comment for that time. Thank you for clarifying.
With that, there are no more raised hands, so I'll pass back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Zara. Always good to have public comments, so appreciate folks for turning out and saying what's important to them. So next we'll turn to opening remarks by CEC and CPUC leadership. So we'd like to start by acknowledging the commissioners joining us today and welcome them to say hello and give brief remarks. And we can start with CEC. Do we have Commissioner Gallardo here?
Present. Thank you so much, Chris, and everybody. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here. I may have to drop early. My advisor, Colleen Cradell, is also on. So just want to give you a heads up. And one thing I'm excited to share with you is that at our last business meeting, the Energy Commission approved our topics for the Integrated Energy Policy Report, the IPER. So we'll have our traditional forecast focus, and then we'll also have a chapter on geothermal. I'll be the lead commissioner on that one. We're really excited about this opportunity to dig in a bit further on what's happening with geothermal in California, looking at barriers and opportunities. There's a lot of enthusiasm, I'd say, around geothermal right now and investment as well. And so we think it's a great, in terms of timing, great opportunity for us to look into it further and see how this firm, clean resource could help us advance on our 100% clean energy future goals. And there will be another chapter that's focused on doing a bit of an update from our 2022 IPER that focused on environmental justice and energy equity, and seeing like what has been done since then, given that there were some recommendations provided to the legislature and to the governor's office. So really excited about that. And our very own public advisor, Ryan Young, will be co-leading that with me. So that'll be a great opportunity as well. And then he'll also be able to use that chapter to talk about what else can be done, should be done in terms of advancing energy equity and environmental justice. So Ryan called you out there. Did you want to say anything on that piece?
No, I just wanted to briefly say that I'm looking forward to carrying on the work that Commissioner Gallardo initiated back in 2022 under her leadership. A lot of those recommendations have been executed on, and we're looking forward to both celebrating what we have accomplished as well as charting out the future. So thank you, Commissioner Gallardo, for an opportunity to say a couple words. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to get your thought leadership on everything here, Ryan. And that's it. I'll turn it over to back to you, Chris. And I know Commissioner Skinner's on, so hi.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo and Ryan Young, Public Advisor Ryan Young. Next, we'll pass it to Commissioner Skinner. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you. Happy to be here with DACAG today. and very pleased that we're going to be discussing the Clean Transportation the Clean Transportation Investment Plan update, which our Clean Transportation Advisory Committee has had their initial shot at reviewing. But we'll talk more about that when we get to that part of the agenda, but I'm looking forward to that discussion, and otherwise glad to be with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Any other CC leadership on the line want to provide remarks? Hearing nothing, let's move to the CPUC, and we'll start with Commissioner Haug. Welcome, Commissioner.
Hi, welcome. I'm really glad to be here. I'm here in person in San Francisco with our staff. Just a couple of updates. One, I wanted to note that we will be having a Low-Income Oversight Board meeting in June 24th, and it's in Sacramento. The information will be on our website, and we'll make sure that I'll get that out to you. It'll be a really good meeting, and hopefully some folks will be able to join. Also, on our disconnections proceeding, we will hopefully be issuing a proposed decision on that probably midsummer is what we're targeting. And we will be having some public participation hearings on that decision. So I just want to note that for folks, if you or any of the organizations or communities you work with want more information, let us know. We also are having a workshop in the High Distributed Energy Resource proceeding that looks at distribution planning on Thursday of next week. It's a hybrid workshop in San Francisco for the in-person part of it, and we'll be getting presentations from parties on distribution system framework orchestration and basically how we can get better visibility on what we're doing on the distribution side with what's happening with load flexibility aggregators. And there'll be a second workshop combined with that in Folsom at the ISO headquarters on June 5th. So I know that some of the folks here are interested in the distribution planning proceedings. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. We are hoping to get the Building Decarb Action Plan PD out late summer, but I wanted to put it on your radar. And the tribal consultation policy proceeding, we're hoping to get a PD out before the end of June. And then on our climate adaptation proceeding, we're working on that and are hoping to get a staff proposal on the community engagement part out in June also. And we're looking, I know some folks had been interested in that, and some of the DACAG members had attended some of the workshops. So if that's something you'd like to get on your agenda for June or July, just let us know, and we'll make sure that you have the information you need for that. And I think those are all the updates I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Haug. Lots of good updates there. Next, Commissioner Douglas. Do we have Commissioner Douglas on the line?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad I'm able to join as well. I'm in transit, so I don't have video on. And I think my one update is that we are aiming for midsummer for the SB 1221 decarbonization pilot proposed decision. And so look for more information on that. And if you're interested in us teeing up some kind of briefing at the right time, we'll look into doing that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Douglas. Lots of interest in that topic. Do we have any other CPUC leadership on the line wanting to provide remarks? Okay. Any other leadership in general? Hear nothing. I think we're good to move on. We would otherwise be moving on to item 4, meeting minutes, with possible approval through a vote there, but we are going to reshuffle our agenda and give our members who will be joining later an opportunity to participate there. So I think we want to go ahead and move into item 5. So for item 5, we're going to be discussing the Clean Transportation Program Investment Plan Update. CEC staff will provide the draft 2026-2027 Investment Plan Update, and the DACAG discussion and feedback will follow with public comment. So let's go ahead and turn to item 5, and we'll welcome Marissa Williams, Charles Smith, and Mabel Lopez from the CEC to present this item.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share updates on the CEC's Clean Transportation Program. My name is Mabel Aceves Lopez from the CEC's Fuels and Transportation Division. I'm also joined by my co-presenter, Marissa Williams, as well as Charles Smith, our branch manager. Today, we'll be presenting the 2026 to 2027 Investment Plan Update for the Clean Transportation Program. We'll start by providing an overview of the Clean Transportation Program and highlight some activities that may be of interest to the DACAG. Then we will present the proposed funding allocations included in the 2026 to 2027 Investment Plan Update. Next slide. All right, so we'll start by providing background on the Clean Transportation Program. Next slide. So California is pursuing ambitious goals to protect public health, improve environmental quality, and reduce pollution. To meet these goals, the state is moving rapidly toward a zero-emission transportation future. Achieving this depends on deploying enough charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure built on time and in the right places to support the growing number of zero-emission vehicles. The CEC's Clean Transportation Program is one of the first transportation-focused funding programs created by the California legislature to help achieve the state's climate policies and air quality goals. The Clean Transportation Program began over 15 years ago and provides about $95 million per year in grants and incentives, mainly to accelerate the deployment of zero-emission vehicle infrastructure across the state. In recent years, Clean Transportation Program funding has been augmented by substantial appropriations from the General Fund and the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, enabling significant progress towards California's clean transportation goals. We've had interest from stakeholders on historical funding, so we've included a chart showing a breakdown of allocations from the past 10 years. It includes our Clean Transportation Program funds, as well as other supplemental funding sources, but does not include federal funding. Across all our investments and efforts, we are committed to ensuring that the Clean Transportation Program funding and project benefits flow to low-income and disadvantaged communities across the state. As of December of 2025, 62% of Clean Transportation Program and supplemental funds to projects located in low-income or disadvantaged communities. Next slide. Now I'll share some updates on recent CEC ZEV infrastructure activities, starting with the light-duty sector. As a quick note, we use different funding structures, requirements, and levels of oversight for different purposes. Broadly, much of our funding falls into two structures: targeted solicitations and block grant incentive programs. Recent light-duty charging infrastructure deployment projects have focused on two block grant programs: the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project, or Cali VIP 2.0, and Communities in Charge. Cali VIP 2.0 is focused on deploying public DC fast charging across the state. This block grant provided $55 million in the most recent funding window and prioritizes ready-to-build projects located in tribal, low-income, or disadvantaged communities. Meanwhile, Communities in Charge is focused on deploying level 1 and 2 chargers. The last funding wave, with $56 million available, focused exclusively on multifamily housing and multifamily housing-related sites, or sites within 1/8 of a mile of multifamily housing and accessible to residents. Both of these funding windows closed in January of 2026. As for open funding opportunities, we released the Electric Vehicle Hub outreach, messaging, and equipment, or EV home solicitation earlier this week to fund organizations that will provide education and outreach, support acquisition of electric vehicles and chargers, and provide incentives for single and multifamily home charging equipment with a specific focus on residents of low-income and disadvantaged communities. We anticipate a total of $10 million to be available initially, with up to another $10 million available in the future for projects to complete a second phase of work. Next slide. The CAC has also released multiple targeted solicitations and block grant opportunities in the medium and heavy-duty sector. We have 3 grant funding opportunities that closed in March, and proposed awards will be announced soon. These include a ports-focused solicitation that provided up to $60 million in funds for projects that deploy charging or hydrogen refueling infrastructure for California seaports and land ports of entry. Our depot infrastructure for on-road ZEV solicitation that provided up to $30 million in funds for the deployment of depot charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure for medium and heavy-duty on-road ZEVs. And our ZEV infrastructure blueprint implementation solicitation that provided up to $40 million in funds for projects that will implement ZEV infrastructure projects that were developed and identified in the final blueprint planning documents from our prior medium and heavy-duty blueprints solicitation. There is also closed funding under our block grant program, Energize. The transit and drayage set-aside funding lanes remained open through most of 2025 and closed in October of last year. Nearly $90 million was recently awarded to support ZEV infrastructure for transit and drayage projects. Meanwhile, the megawatt charging standard pilot funding lane specific to drayage projects supported the purchase and install of megawatt charging standard capable chargers with $10 million in funding. This funding opportunity under Energize closed in February. As for our open funding opportunities, in April we released the Reliable Electric Charging for Eligible School Bus Sites, or RECESS, solicitation for public school bus infrastructure. There are multiple funding lanes open, totaling $22 million, and the application deadline for this solicitation is June 5th. Next slide. In April of 2026, we also released our latest hydrogen-specific solicitation, targeting all vehicle weight classes. $21.2 million is dedicated specifically to light-duty hydrogen refueling infrastructure, and up to $23.8 million is dedicated to light, medium, and/or heavy-duty hydrogen refueling infrastructure, totaling $45 million available. We also continue funding development of the workforce necessary to support the ZEV ecosystem. One recent activity is developing the Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Training Program, or ITP Fund, in partnership with the California Employment Training Panel. EVITP certification is required for electricians to work on many charging projects funded by the CUC, and this fund helps electricians to become certified. The revamped EVITP fund is anticipated to be opened in the upcoming months. A skilled workforce is also needed to provide service, maintenance, and repair of deployed charging infrastructure to ensure chargers are available for their entire useful life. In the coming weeks, the CEC expects to release a solicitation to fund projects that will increase the state's workforce to service charging equipment. Next slide. We are also implementing federal funds. The California Department of Transportation, or Caltrans, and the CEC are partnering to implement the Federal National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, or NEVI, formula program, which allocated $5 billion to the states to create a nationwide interconnected network of DC fast chargers along the national highway system. California's share is expected to be about $380 million. CEC and Caltrans have fully obligated our NEVI program funds, meaning that all of those funds are available for us to include in funding solicitations and to make awards. To date, the CEC has announced proposed NEVI awards totaling roughly $73 million for over 130 DC fast charging stations and over 850 ports for light-duty electric vehicles. Over the last 6 months, we've released 4 new NEVI funding solicitations. In December 2025 and February of 2026, we released NEVI solicitations for the additional deployment of publicly accessible DC fast chargers with a total of $150 million. One solicitation closed in March, and one remains open with a closing date of September 25th. We also released 2 NEVI solicitations to expand medium and heavy-duty charging infrastructure along corridors consistent with NEVI formula program requirements, with a combined total of $148.5 million in funding. One of these solicitations closes in May and the other in June. As a quick update on other federal funds, under the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Program, the federal government previously approved applications for a tri-state and hydrogen refueling corridor for medium and heavy-duty ZEVs, and separately for drayage truck charging. These funds have been frozen since February of 2025. In December of 2025, California and 17 other states filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Transportation and Federal Highway Administration for unlawfully freezing this program, as well as the Electric Vehicle Charger Reliability and Accessibility Accelerator Program, which will allow us to fund equipment replacements and upgrades at existing EV charging stations. Next slide, please. I'll now turn the presentation over to Marissa Williams, who will present on the 2026 to 2027 investment plan update itself.
Thank you, Mabel. Next, we'll be providing some background on the Clean Transportation Program investment plan update process and the fiscal year 2026-2027 proposed allocations. Next slide, please. Let's start with some background on how the investment plan is developed and what its role is for the Clean Transportation Program. The CEC is required to update the investment plan every year, and its purpose is to communicate our strategic direction and outline the funding priorities for the program. It's important to note that the investment plan sets broad funding categories. It does not identify or select specific projects. For fiscal year 2026-2027, the investment plan update describes how the program's $95.2 million will be distributed across different fuels, vehicle sectors, and supporting activities such as workforce development. This provides a clear understanding of where the program is headed and what types of investments we aim to support. When developing the plan, we look at a wide range of information. This includes the broader landscape of state and federal funding and policies, as well as analyses the CEC conducts around infrastructure and workforce needs. We also coordinate with other state agencies, including the California Air Resources Board, to ensure our priorities are aligned and complementary. The plan is also informed by input from the Clean Transportation Program's Advisory Committee, the Disadvantaged Communities Advisory Group, and members of the public. This feedback plays a crucial role in shaping the funding priorities. So overall, the investment plan serves as a high-level roadmap that balances statutory requirements, analytical findings, and public input to guide how we invest Clean Transportation Program funds each year. Next slide, please. In setting the Clean Transportation Program funding priorities, it's important to remember that much of our direction comes directly from state statute. First, statute directs us to prioritize investments in light-duty charging infrastructure, specifically in areas where gaps have been identified through the CEC's infrastructure assessments. These analyses show where additional charging is needed to support the state's zero-emission transportation goals, so our funding helps fill those critical gaps. We are also required to prioritize medium and heavy-duty infrastructure. As the DACAG is aware, this sector has an outsized impact on emissions, and ensuring that charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure is available for these vehicles is essential to meeting California's clean transportation and air quality goals. Another legislative requirement is that at least 15% of our annual program funds be dedicated to hydrogen infrastructure. This requirement doesn't limit the funding to any particular vehicle class, which gives us flexibility to support hydrogen for light, medium, or heavy-duty applications, depending on the needs we are seeing. Finally, at least 50% of program funds must directly benefit low-income and disadvantaged communities. This is a critical piece of the program's mission. It ensures that the communities who are most impacted by air pollution and historic underinvestment are among the first to benefit from the economic and environmental advantages of clean transportation. Together, these statutory requirements shape not only how we set our funding priorities, but also how we evaluate proposed investments to make sure we are delivering the greatest possible benefit to communities across California. Next slide, please. When developing the funding allocations for this investment plan update, we focused on a few key considerations. First is strategic planning. We wanted to continue to provide a clear long-term picture of where the program is headed, while still maintaining the flexibility to respond to the evolving market conditions and funding landscape. The plan includes proposed allocations for the upcoming fiscal year 2026-2027 and projected allocations for the subsequent 2 fiscal years. Although future allocations may shift, the long-term strategic framework lays out the CEC's broader goals. For light-duty infrastructure, our priority is filling the most critical gaps. This includes investments for at or near home charging, including at single and multifamily homes, and public DC fast charging with attention to charging deserts. For medium and heavy-duty infrastructure, again, we focus on this sector because it contributes significantly to emissions, especially in communities near ports and freight corridors. Supporting zero-emission vehicle deployment in these areas is essential for meeting the state's clean transportation goals. For hydrogen, we continue to support infrastructure across all vehicle types, light, medium, and heavy duty. And if hydrogen funding opportunities are undersubscribed, statute allows us to redirect those funds to other projects, including to non-hydrogen projects. Finally, we invest in workforce development, so California has the skilled labor needed to build and maintain zero-emission vehicles and related infrastructure. And wherever possible, we look for opportunities to encourage infrastructure that can serve both light and medium heavy-duty vehicles to maximize flexibility and public benefit. These considerations guided how we structured the proposed funding allocations. Next slide, please. For the 2026-2027 fiscal year, proposed allocations include the following: $48 million for light-duty charging infrastructure, $30.2 million for medium and heavy-duty ZEV infrastructure, $15 million for hydrogen-specific infrastructure, and $2 million for workforce training and development. As mentioned, we've also presented a longer-term framework to help convey our strategy and priorities that will guide the program over the coming years. However, it's important to note that the program funding allocations beyond fiscal year 2026-2027 may be revised in future investment plan updates. Looking across all 3 fiscal years, the plan proposes $128 million for light-duty charging infrastructure, continuing our strong emphasis on filling charging gaps at homes, workplaces, and public fast charging locations. For medium and heavy-duty ZEV infrastructure, we propose $106 million over 3 years. This category will also be augmented by $38 million in greenhouse gas reduction funds from the 2025-2026 budget, which helps address the rapid growth in infrastructure needs at ports, freight corridors, and other high-impact areas. We propose $45 million in hydrogen-specific funding, consistent with statutory requirements, which supports hydrogen infrastructure for light, medium, or heavy-duty applications. And finally, $6 million is allocated toward workforce training and development, recognizing, again, that need for a skilled workforce to build and maintain our clean transportation ecosystem reliably over time. Next slide, please. The 2026-2027 investment plan update still has many critical milestones ahead. We published the staff draft of the investment plan on April 22nd. That's the version we're discussing today during this presentation. The next important milestone is the deadline for written comments, which is coming up on May 22nd. We'll then reconvene at a public meeting with the Clean Transportation Programs Advisory Committee in June, where there will be another opportunity for public comment. From there, we'll incorporate additional feedback into a lead commissioner report, which we anticipate bringing forward in July. That will then move into consideration at the CEC's August business meeting. This schedule reflects our effort to adopt the investment plan earlier in the year. Doing so allows us to begin implementing funding for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. And over future cycles, we plan to continue shifting this timeline earlier so that each investment plan is adopted before the fiscal year that it applies to. Next slide, please. Before we launch into discussion, we'd like to acknowledge DACAG's feedback from the previous year and how the CEC has aligned with the recommendations. DACAG recommended prioritizing medium and heavy-duty investments, especially at seaports and inland ports. DACAG also supported using federal funds for medium and heavy-duty infrastructure. The CEC recently released multiple solicitations targeting the medium and heavy-duty sectors. 2 of them are focused on port infrastructure and depot charging. Staff also met with DACAG SMEs last year to discuss the federal funding update. In January and February of this year, the CEC released NEVI solicitations to expand medium and heavy-duty charging infrastructure along corridors consistent with the NEVI formula program requirements. And we're also fighting in court to access our awarded charging and fueling infrastructure awards, both of which target medium and heavy-duty zero-emission vehicle infrastructure. DACAG recommended providing funding for charger maintenance and workforce training. We include workforce training and development as a reimbursable activity across various projects. And as mentioned earlier, a new solicitation will be released soon focused on increasing the qualified workforce to service charging equipment. Multiple members also emphasize coordinating infrastructure investments with utility make-ready programs, the California Air Resources Board's vehicle incentives, and other programs to maximize impact, especially in disadvantaged and low-income communities. The CEC and CARB do coordinate HVIP and Energize, set aside funding for transit, school bus, and drayage. Additionally, we have conducted joint solicitations and attempt to coordinate future opportunities together. We're continuing to investigate opportunities to align programs and incentive stacking policies. DACAG also shared concerns about the climate impacts of biomethane-derived hydrogen, whether hydrogen is an appropriate investment given limited ability to define allowable types, and sought clarity on the CEC's role. As mentioned, statute does require that at least 15% of our annual program funds be dedicated to hydrogen infrastructure. Within this category, funding preference is given to projects that plan to use lower carbon intensity hydrogen, and the hydrogen refueling stations funded must dispense renewable hydrogen that complies with the low carbon fuel standard. Next slide, please. For those interested in more information about the Clean Transportation Program or the topics we shared today, you can visit the CEC's transportation webpage using the link shown here on this slide, and e-comments can be submitted using the docket link also provided. We encourage continued participation as we finalize the fiscal year 2026-2027 investment plan update. Next slide, please. And last slide for you all. As we wrap up, we just wanted to provide some questions to prompt discussion, but do not feel limited in responding to these. What challenges to the zero-emission vehicle market should inform the investment plan? And are there any other considerations to guide the investment plan for this coming fiscal year, 2026-2027? I just want to thank the DACAG members for your time, and we look forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
And Chris, if you don't
Yes.
mind, apologies, I had a little computer glitch at the opening of. Thanks so much, Marissa and Mabel, for that excellent presentation and the opportunity, DACAG. Thank you for being able to present to you. Couple things that I wanted to highlight. We, like DACAG, our FTD programs have had a strong commitment to equity in our distribution of funds and also to our really working hard to make sure that our disadvantaged communities and our low-income communities also have access to our zero-emission vehicles. So one of the things that we're very excited about is our new grant funding opportunity that Mabel referenced, EV Home, which will provide direct assistance to households in low-income and disadvantaged communities to acquire an EV and to install a at-home charger, whether they live in a single-family home or a multifamily property. And the program will do so by bundling incentives. And we're hopeful that the legislature will support the governor's proposal for the direct California EV incentives for first-time EV buyers. And if so, that would be one of the incentives that would be bundled. But there's other incentives that entities like some cities, some air districts, some CCAs all have available. And this sort of takes it off the consumer to try to figure it all out and allows us to fund a community-based organization to do so. And the deadline is mid-August. That solicitation's open now. And there's a pre-application workshop that will be held on June 1st at 10 a.m. So I mentioned Governor Newsom's proposal around the EV tax credits. Those CARB has put together a program. The legislature still has to see if they will approve. But we are really hopeful that they do move forward because we see now with these high gas prices, for all the other reasons, California is still very, very committed to its zero emission goals. And we know that we still suffer severely. 82% of Californians live in areas, 82%, not just low income and disadvantaged communities, but 82% of Californians live in areas that do not meet healthy air quality standards. So given that and the high price of gas, moving to a zero emission vehicle or an EV, especially right now, is really, really smart. So the more we can do to help our moderate and low income households do so, the better. And our investment plan update for this coming fiscal year, which would start July 1. We won't have it adopted by July 1, but we hope to earlier in the year than usual. It will help us guide our investments in the infrastructure to support our zero emission goals. And as they presented in the slides, what you saw is that we still retain very strong support for the medium duty and heavy duty charging infrastructure, supporting transit vehicles, supporting the ports, supporting large heavy duty, in the cargo hauling and such in our inland empire or wherever those burdensome areas are. And we're doing so not only with our recommended CTP allocation, but also the fact that the legislature provided us $38 million last September in greenhouse gas funds specifically for MDHD infrastructure. So that brings the allocation we would have, the amount we would have new, up to 70 million more. And as we referenced last year, we have out on the street. We didn't have them circulating in the last time we were discussing the investment plan update. but we do now, over 100 million in solicitations to support medium and heavy duty infrastructure. So we've got that out on the street now. We have others prepared that's independent of the funds that are specific in this investment plan, but the investment plan plus what the legislature gave us will augment those. So we still retain a very strong commitment to supporting the medium duty and heavy duty infrastructure, as well as a strong commitment for the light duty, so that as interestingly enough, one of the things that we've noticed in sales data is that while new car sales of EVs dropped, used EV sales are going way up. So as people acquire an EV, if they've never had one, we want them to feel the confidence that they can charge. So that light duty charging infrastructure is so important to give the drivers that confidence. And that's another reason we're emphasizing not only EV home, but in this investment plan, putting our funds towards supporting more charging at multifamily properties so that all residents, not just single family residents, would have access to charging at or near home. So those are some of the highlights of the plan. And of course, we welcome this discussion today. And in addition to today's discussion, the comment period for the plan is open. And apologies, Mabel and Marissa, if you already had those details on a slide, because I can't remember exactly when the comment deadline is, but it's up on the CEC's website. So we welcome written comments that we will then factor in any revision to the plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner, Mabel, and Marissa for all the great information on the investment plan. I think next we pass it to Zara. We take public comment before discussion.
Thank you, Chris. This is an opportunity to give comments on item 5. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 1 speaker per organization. We'll show a timer on the screen and alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you are interested in making a comment. If you're in the room, just raise your hand. Online, you can press the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm. And for those joining by phone, you can press *3 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. No commenters in the room. We will go to WebEx. We have one raised hand, Rima Bazi. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. You should be able to unmute and give your comment.
Thank you. Yes, this is Rima Bazia. I'm with Pacific Environment, and I'm just providing comment to address this agenda item. So as DACAG and the Commission, work to ensure that this investment plan continues to prioritize meaningful pollution reductions, public health improvements, and equitable economic benefits for disadvantaged communities, we just want to emphasize that the plan also continues to address that the communities that bear the largest burdens from California's freight systems are really taken into consideration. Frontline communities located near ports and freight corridors experience disproportionate exposure to diesel particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and other harmful pollutants. And, while the plan does address this and does mention a few sentences or so about this fact, we really strongly encourage that DACAG and also the Commission explicitly consider freight systems and ports in their investments for medium and heavy duty ZEV infrastructure. So, this includes expanding shore power, supporting electric and or hydrogen powered cargo handling equipment, drayage trucks, and cranes. Also, in addition, we also see the investment plan discuss workforce development and funding toward there. We ask that the plan also includes more explicit language about committing to workforce development tied to zero emission freight and port transitions. California's ports and freight corridors, they're major employment centers, and the transition to clean transportation technologies has to obviously create high quality, accessible jobs for workers and communities that are historically impacted by pollution and economic inequities. So, while the plan does right now highlight workforce development and training for roles that are managing on-road electric charging infrastructure, we support also the inclusion of career pathways that are related to port electrification and alternative fuels management. So, these investments obviously should prioritize high road labor standards and ensure that workers are equipped to participate in and benefit from the state's clean transportation transition. That is the end of my comment. I appreciate the time and thank you to the board and commission for hearing this out.
Thank you, Rima. And could you spell your name for us for the record?
Yes, happy to. First name is Rima. That's R-E-E-M as in Michigan, A. Last name Bazia, B as in boy, Z as in zebra, E-I-H.
Thank you again, Rima. Zara, back to you. Do we have additional public comments?
Yes, we have one more raised hand from Andy Blevelt. Andy, you should be able to unmute and give your comment.
Hi, thank you. Just on the investment plan comments, Mabel, I don't see on the investment plan, I'm not finding the comment due date and pathway. And then I'm with Sunrun Multifamily, and I am just wondering, especially Commissioner Skinner or others, what sort of comments on the would be most useful on the multifamily charging portion. My group focuses on putting solar on multifamily affordable housing.
We will be expanding our solicitations for EV charging at multifamily. The Clean Transportation Plan update does not detail exactly how our funding solicitations will be designed and such. It's more a more high-level direction to us for how to use our clean transportation funds. So I think if you want to give more specific input towards, our effort to get more charging at multifamily installations, then it would be either through our workshops or other methods that we use to get input on our solicitations, and we can get staff to provide some of that info. It's also, whenever we set those up, we have them on our website also.
Thank you. I actually wasn't very clear in my question. I'm sorry. My real interest in this is just that we're in touch with a large number of multifamily affordable properties that are trying to electrify and installing solar, interested in this type of topic. And I wanted to pass word on to them potentially. And so that's why I was just trying to find out the time frame and sort of most helpful type of feedback that those parties might be able to provide. That wouldn't be something that I would be, it's not comments that I would have on any sort of solicitation or anything like that.
Certainly. I don't know if Marissa or Mabel have anything else they would respond to that.
Is it the best?
This is Charles from the CEC. I'll volunteer. Andy, if you'd like to send us an email, we can connect you with more information about multifamily housing charging opportunities. If you could send an introductory email to charles.smith@energy.ca.gov. Happy to provide you with that additional information.
Thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. And Zara, do we have additional public comments?
No, I think that's it. Back to you.
Great. So now we can turn to DACAG members for discussion. So we'll open it up for members now. Who's got feedback to start? And Mr. Smith from CEC, you still have your hand up.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Worries. So I think I can start us off, and I'm sure we have lots of activity. Were Roman able to make it for this part of the session, but I'm curious how the CEC sets funding levels by category. So for example, Commissioner Skinner, I think you remarked that the $15 million for hydrogen was a figure set by the legislature. So I'm wondering if that's the case across all of those categories, or whether CEC has any discretion about allocating amounts across those categories.
The hydrogen is legislatively specified. The others are were given broad. We don't have specific either percentages or dollar amounts, so that we have discretion. And usually when we are trying to figure out how to divide the funds that we have in any given year, and the CTP monies, the revenue we get for that is just under 100 million every year. It's about 96 or so. We look at what monies we have in hand and what other funds the legislature may have given us, along with the CTP monies, and then what the needs are, and we try to make our best judgment on then how to distribute.
Thank you, Commissioner. Elena?
Yeah, thanks for this presentation. I wanted to say first that I'm excited about the provision of bundled incentives under the EV Home program that will help, make it so people don't have to navigate all of the different stacked incentives from different agencies. And, even to the degree to which you could maybe integrate that with other kinds of home upgrades or storage or other things that would reduce the need for, additional interconnection upgrades and stuff like that. I think that would be great. The main question that I have is around how you are identifying charging deserts for the public fast charging, and also whether or not your home EV charging incentives are being targeted towards deserts, as it were, as well, or whether those are primarily more just being targeted towards disadvantaged communities writ large. Basically, how you're trying to identify those, let's say, spatial gaps across California.
The EV Home program is definitely specific to low-income and disadvantaged communities. And
is there priority for
that? Yes.
Oh,
and our charging deserts. So we've the solicitation that we're looking at now to address charging deserts, we have in the past, we've done a rural solicitation, for example, to try to get at those areas with lower population density where the private sector might not invest. Now, and we're always looking at where there's high volumes of EV ownership but low charging. So we're always looking at that. But the most recent solicitation that we're going to do, we are looking at areas that may not have that high of population year round, but have high visitation. So, high volume of vehicles that go through that have little to no charging infrastructure. And so we did sort of map overlays, and it turned out to be a lot of areas you would expect, areas that people tend to go and visit, whether it's like Central Coast, wine areas, North Coast, places that people like to visit that maybe don't have the type of population density where the private sector EV charger will invest. But we're looking at trying to create that kind of robust network so that any EV driver can feel like, hey, I don't need to then keep an ICE car just to be able to go places I like to go in California.
So it sounds, thank you for that. So it sounds like for the previous desert analysis, I don't know how to call it, what to call that. You're identifying places where EV charging is, or EV adoption is already high, and then trying to fill in the gap.
Well, EV adoption high. So we're talking. So if we take like downtown LA, or maybe not downtown LA, the whole LA county, LA basin, there are fewer chargers to the number of EVs compared to, say, the Bay Area. So while we haven't so much, well, anyway, that's just a fact. But the other areas I was talking about, they may not have year-round high population, but they have visitation. So they have, vehicles going through those areas. So, but they don't have much charging publicly accessible. So, and the private sector, if there's not, unless there's really high volumes of traffic, like you see on an interstate or something, private sector tends to not want to invest there. So, we're looking at a limited solicitation for that type of charging desert.
What about the sort of flip side of this, where there might be places where there's low levels of EV adoption, but you aren't going to get them until you have the EV charging investment? We use that as a catalyst for EV adoption.
Right. So the solicitation we did for rural communities that, we didn't put a whole lot of other criteria on it, was for that type of purpose, that in other words, where we knew there were not chargers and there wasn't necessarily high population, but that unless there were some public chargers, maybe there would never be EV adoption. So yes, so we have done that in the past. And it's not that we will never again, it's just we don't have a current active solicitation on that now.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out the strategy. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Elena. How about Councilman Vasquez?
Hi, thank you. Man, I'm on the same wavelength than most of you guys. Kind of trying to identify the factors of what would be, considering some of the tribes are in rural areas, and it's kind of that kind of day trip thing, whether you're Northern California, Central or Southern. There's always that connectivity or reliability issue. And I'm not saying a lot of people are jumping into the EV market in some of these places just because reliability is an issue. But some of those identifying factors of how I guess you would put some of these facilities, or whether it's geothermal and or some of these electrified areas, how is that going to be, I guess, assessed? And kind of jumping into like the federal funding component of that, has there ever been a process where tribes were reached out to as well? I know there's a numerous number of tribes throughout the state that kind of facilitate their own power, whether it's Blue Lake Rancheria or all these kind of islanding communities that not just affect the tribal communities, but like those broader rural communities as well. They're somewhat hubs for this kind of activity, and that are places that people frequent, not consistently, but like whether it's the seasons or things like that, to kind of bring in those folks or have that reliability, I guess. I don't know. I was kind of jumping all over the place, but I think we're all on the same wavelength as far as some of these things that we want to make sure that there's not a community that's kind of missing or for that desire.
Well, the particular funding that we've been discussing is purely for the infrastructure for zero emission vehicles, not for other electrification and such. But using the tribal example, we have funded tribes. Tribes are always eligible for our solicitations.
Yeah.
And in terms of the charging deserts, many of the tribal installations, the resorts and casinos and such, are located in areas where there might not be high population density, but because of the tribal facilities, there's high visitation. So they may qualify exactly for this current definition we have for a charging desert. So because again, high visitation, though maybe lower population density and not a lot of charging infrastructure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know, of course, I think the move is a lot for the EV charging. I think there's just some communities that, the reliability aspect isn't there currently with the grid or some of those things too. So that's something I think all of us we recognize. So, but thank you. I know there's a lot more for of this I need to dive into as well, and I'll definitely do that. But thank you for the presentation today.
And how about Roman? Welcome, Roman. And then Elena, I'm not sure if you have an additional question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, and apologies for showing up late here. And so I'm walking into this portion without having seen the full presentation. I went back and looked at the slides, and so I apologize if this was already asked, but thank you, Commissioner, for making time to join us today. Just a couple questions for you that I have. And I'm looking at the slides, and one thing that really stands out to me, right, is the investments, right, that have been made in disadvantaged or low-income communities. And one thing that I know I've been asking for some time and have yet to see is kind of a spatial view of those investments, right? Like CEC has that website that kind of illustrates where the investments have been made by county, by, various layers. But I've yet to see a, SB 3535 or AB 1550 overlay just to kind of better understand how these investments are actually are they going into the communities? And I'm not saying that it's not happening, but I think it would be really helpful, right, to be able to add that additional layer to the maps that you all have to just kind of be able to best see, right? Like, yeah, these are the communities that it's going into, and this is where some of those gaps exist. I think kind of going off of what Elena was talking about, right? Those charging deserts, even though there's an increased percentage of investments in those communities, I think having an understanding as how that overlays with the SB 535 and 1550 definitions, I think would be really helpful. So something to happy to follow up on as well. And then the other point, and this is where my question comes in, is one of the things we've also talked about over the years with these investments is how is the coordination between Energy Commission and the Air Resources Board? That you all have the charging infrastructure investments, Air Resources Board has the vehicle incentives, and I think there's an opportunity to kind of better coordinate efforts to be able to kind of have charging infrastructure investments and the vehicle incentives kind of going into communities, especially low-income communities, right, where we might be seeing the the Air Resources Board targeting those communities, and then that plan looks different than what the Energy Commission might be doing. So one, how have those conversations evolved, and how is that coordination happening? Because the last time I remember that Commissioner Monahan came on here, there was a reference to maybe one solicitation or maybe a handful of solicitations that were happening, but it was primarily on the medium to heavy duty side. So just curious if there's any updates on how that coordination is going, and then if there's some potential for kind of joint solicitations for kind of a more targeted investment of incentives and charging infrastructure.
Certainly, and I'm going to, in a second, defer to staff to add, but Ramon, before you came on, we talked a little bit about a new solicitation called EV Home. And EV Home, again, we can't predict whether the legislature will approve the incentives, the California specific incentives for first-time EV buyers that CARB has put together a plan for. But if it were to happen, then EV Home is definitely designed to really complement that, because what EV Home is, it's funding that would be available to community-based organizations to use only in disadvantaged and low-income communities to help households acquire an EV and install at-home charging or near home. And that would include multifamily. So our funding would do the outreach and the bundling of incentives and also the support for the charging. It wouldn't provide any direct funding for vehicle acquisition because that's not within our purview, but it would allow for the community-based group to bundle. And of course, if the state incentives are available, then that's one of the things they'd bundle along with whether there's utility incentives, CCA, air district, or what have you. So that's just one example of ways that we're trying to complement. And I'll turn it over to staff if they want to add any others in how we are coordinating.
Hi, Ramon.
Go ahead, Jana.
Sorry, just jumping in here. I'm Jana Gagnon. I'm Nancy Skinner's Chief of Staff. So thank you, Commissioner. I just wanted to add that there is, and it's relatively new. We have begun regular leadership to leadership meetings between CEC and CARB, and and regular staff meetings to do, Roman, I think exactly what you're saying, which is to see what programs can be more coordinated. If there are restrictions against, where there are restrictions where these programs need to be kept separate in its individual agency, I think there's lots of improvement we can do on just understanding the cadence, the funding amounts, the priorities, and the interconnection between the vehicle side of the house and the charging side of the house.
Thanks, Jana. Great to hear from you.
Great to see you.
And if I may just quickly, Ramon, you mentioned kind of appreciate the feedback on adding the priority population layer onto the existing dashboard that we have. That's actually something that we're working on doing right now, and hope to launch that in the upcoming months. And we anticipate coming back to DACAG probably in SME conversations to get additional feedback on metrics that we're looking at in that dashboard. That's largely an update to how we assess sort of benefits to communities, right? Instead of moving away from just projects located in spatially a disadvantaged or low-income community and looking more broadly at the community benefits that are outlined in AB 126 when the Clean Transportation Program got reauthorized. It had in statute a kind of shift in how we measure those beginning at the beginning of last year. So now we have about a year's worth of projects that we can evaluate. Right? We couldn't really do it initially because we didn't have any projects that were in that year. But we're working on launching something, an improvement to that dashboard that you mentioned. And so happy to continue that conversation with DACAG once that goes live.
Thank you, Marissa. That was the direction of my next question, which was to ask if CEC conducts evaluation at the plan level to understand any differences across sort of the general market versus DACs. For example, I would love to know, do we see differences in interconnection timelines within DACs and outside of DACs? Are we seeing uptime look different within DACs and outside of DACs in terms of charger reliability? And that would, get directly to the heart of the councilman's question and concern there. So just looking at differences for how things are playing out in DACs versus outside, I think is a good sort of basis for plan level evaluation as it relates to DACs. And I think there'd be lots of important insights were we able to do such an evaluation. So I'm glad we have that initial data, if I understand correctly.
Good suggestion. We do have some of it. We don't have a lot of it, but as we collect it, we can do those overlays.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm wondering from my other members whether we have sufficient feedback to want to consider a comment letter that we could add to the record here. Do we have interest in that? Or do we feel like we're engaging sufficiently in this space and others?
Yeah, great question, Chris. I mean, I think in the past, we have submitted a comment letter on the clean transportation plan. I'm sorry, I missed this, but when is this item going before the board?
The comment period is open now. The Clean Transportation Advisory Committee has met once and reviewed it, but the comment deadline for written comments that we would incorporate in any update to the draft is, and please, Marissa and Mabel, correct me, I believe May 20th. Was I right?
The 22nd, so a week from today. Yeah.
Okay, May 22nd. And then we would incorporate those in any update to the draft, present then that updated draft to the Clean Transportation Advisory Committee, which we would expect to have that meeting sometime, I believe we end of June or July. And then the board, we'd hope for adoption by no later than September.
Got it. That's helpful. So what I'm hearing is there might be multiple opportunities for us to submit a letter. If we don't get one in by the deadline that you all have by next week, there'll be another draft that comes out of which we can coordinate to potentially submit another letter kind of further down the line. Is that correct?
Yes, and just given that we're hoping to have adoption we're really trying to align our timeline with the fiscal year because technically the money is available to us on July 1, but we can't start to put it in GFOs or get it on the street until all the approval processes have occurred. And sometimes we've not had those approval processes until December, till the middle of the fiscal year, which is why we're trying to get a little earlier. But if DACAG was able to comment by May 22nd, then we could ensure that any comments were incorporated in an update. But we certainly welcome comments at other times too.
Chris, you're on mute.
I was remarking that's a little bit of a tight timeline, but what do we think about putting some high-level remarks together in time for the 22nd versus holding off for a future period? It sounds like the primary vehicle for feedback for that next iteration is actually the other advisory board, not ours, right? Marissa's nodding, so I think I understood that correctly. Yeah, so I think this is our best bite at the apple, and I'm happy to outline it unless we have another member that can jump in and take that on.
How do we get that approved? If
I was just about to say, if the DACAG is going to take action, it has to happen at a public meeting. So the next scheduled public meeting is for June 12th, which we currently know we will not have quorum for.
Mm-hmm.
So the DACAG will be unable to take action in June, so the earliest would likely be July.
Hi, this is Dorothy with a quick question for, and legal can correct. I think if the group would like, they can either designate someone to write the letter on their behalf, and that would require a vote. And since we've commented on this item, that would just be assigning someone to comment on their behalf. And if that's incorrect, and also, members can also submit comments as individuals, and that's another option. I don't know if legal wants to make sure I'm right there, or yeah.
This is Rachel. Excuse me. Yeah, that's submitting comments on their own as individuals is one way to do it. In regards to your first comment about selecting someone, like designating a member to draft a letter, That's okay. That's fine. I guess, but I think the issue that I see there is how would they, how would the DACAG adopt that letter as a group before May 22nd without a public meeting? I think that would be the question that I see that I think Sarah also raised. But maybe if Vanessa's on, maybe she has some thoughts.
Yeah, I have the same concern about the latter option or delegating. I think if in the meeting you want to almost like verbatim, this is a, but even still, there's no kind of check afterwards that this is what the letter says by the DACAG body as a whole. So I'd caution away from doing that option. Yeah, I think that's just one of the concerns.
Yeah, I think in the past we've done like some live note taking and drafting the letter. That might be difficult because I know we also have other agenda items that we have to get through. I remember, and Vanessa, correct me here if I'm wrong, but I think in the past too, what we've done was even like taken some of the, some of our comments that were part of the transcript and use that to submit as a letter, given that that's kind of taking the language that the comments that we provided, right, and dropping that in a letter and using that as our comment letter and approving that. But yeah, I'm curious whether that is still something we could do and whether that's even actually productive, right, given that we've already provided verbal comments here.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, last year, I believe we decided just to give verbal comments on this plan because we were not able to get a letter together. And the staff let us know that this was sufficient, and that was why they brought it to us in this way. And we didn't have an action item here, as far as I see.
Okay.
But staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that I also feel that I didn't hear any, I'm not I mean, there were some themes to what people were commenting, but I didn't hear a clear consensus on what we would actually all want to say together.
Ramon?
And I'm okay with that. If we just want to maintain it at verbal comments, what I would just suggest, right, is that then we just keep an eye out for the next draft that comes out, and depending on what is there or what isn't there, we can revisit that and try to kind of plan for submitting a comment based on the timeline that was just shared, right? But obviously it won't be for this May 22nd, it'd be for the next iteration, if that makes sense for folks.
We could ask the SME group to staff to meet with the SME group to make sure that we're more prepared with a letter and action item in time next time.
Yeah.
If anybody wants that.
Yeah, that works for me. So in lieu of a letter, I want to invite any sort of final pieces of feedback for CEC staff while we have their ear here. And I can kick us off real quick. I think the one topic that I left on the table, Commissioner and staff, were investments slated for high visitation areas with little to no infrastructure. I just want to recall a public comment we received a couple months back from a commenter in a rural area, in a high visitation area, remarking on energy costs going up as a result of high visitation and feeling like low-income folks were not being adequately supported in grappling with those increased energy costs, that they felt were being foisted on them just due to being a high visitation area. So I think that is an equity concern in and of itself, and a consideration for the state to balance and wanting to make sure that we have infrastructure everywhere while also acknowledging that the build out of infrastructure can have impacts on utility costs. We hope that in aggregate resources delivered within disadvantaged communities and rural communities are a net benefit. And I certainly hope and expect that's the case, but still with discrete impacts on energy costs. So I wanted to uplift sort of the theme that we got in that public comment related to those high visitation areas, but that would have been sort of the one area that I would have spent a little bit more time on in a perspective letter. Any other members have comments you'd rather not sit on? Well, that's all I've got. Let's see, any hands? All right, I got to manually scroll through to see if there are any hands. So folks, chime in if I'm ever leaving you out, but I think we've exhausted discussion on this topic. Thank you very much to all of our CEC staff and Commissioner Skinner for coming to present the investment plan to us. We're excited to continue to engage with the process and appreciate the Commission's work so far in making sure that equity benefits accrue to disadvantaged communities. I think we can do a break now. Does that sound good? Or did we want to jump back up to the approval of meeting minutes first?
I could use a break. Not sure if anybody else.
Right, 5-minute break.
And what time did Roman, did you join for the minutes? I'm sorry, I missed that.
2:02.
Thank you.
All right, 5-minute break. Is that until 2:38? Round up a little bit. But yeah, let's come back at 2:38 and we'll resume with our items. Just a few seconds here. All right, I think we have just about all of our members back. Sarah, let us know when you're back and we'll get going again. All right. Well, I think I'd like to return to item 4, meeting minutes and the possible approval of our April 17th, 2026 DACAG meeting minutes. So if we can first share the minutes for public comment.
Thanks, Chris. This is an opportunity to give comments on the April 17th, 2028 meeting minutes. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 1 speaker per organization. A timer will be shown on the screen and we will alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you would like to make a comment so we can call on you. For those in person, raise your hand. For those online, use the raise hand feature. It looks like an open palm. And for those joining by phone, press *3 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. Seeing none in the room, I'll take a look at WebEx. Seeing no raised hands, I'll pass it back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Zara. So unless there's any DACAG member discussion, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Note that member absence does not exclude you from voting on this item if you have reviewed the materials. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you,
So
Elena.
Roman, I second.
Thank you for seconding, Roman. So we'll now conduct the vote. So say aye if you're in favor, nay if you oppose, or indicate if you abstain. Note, absence from the meeting related to the minutes again does not prevent members from voting on the item if you're able to review the notes. So starting with me, aye. Elena?
Aye.
Jim? Do we have Jim?
Oh, I think maybe she was not on, or she was on mute.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Jen?
Oh,
Yes. Roman?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tonight is absent. And Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Well, we have a quorum and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes. So item 4 passes. And I think we can keep it going. So now we'll get back into the flow with item 7, DACAG annual report. So we have the DACAG annual report, which has been drafted. I think we can share that on the screen. But we need to figure out who might be open to presenting the report to the CPUC and the CEC, in addition to rounding out any final drafting. But this is an opportunity for members to also provide feedback. So do we have staff support with sharing the annual report on our screen? Great. So if we can just kind of scroll through and give folks the contours of the report. This is the 2025 report. So it covers the 2025 calendar year. We know that creates some complications with the fact that member terms are not necessarily aligned to the calendar year. But within the report, we of course start with the purpose of the DACAG. We name the members across each term. Yep, and we've named the members there. We can keep going. The content under purpose is more or less static. The content under background is more or less static. 2025 priorities were a unique section in this report. So we lay out what the priority areas were and the SMEs. And if you keep scrolling, how many meetings were held at agency request in each of those priority areas. And you can keep going. And these are summaries of the actions that the DACAG took in 2025. So we organize these by a couple of different areas, including governance actions. You scroll down, those were the governance actions, and here are our priority area topics covered by month. So that gives us a sense of how much we're hitting each priority area, which is useful for us going forward. And then these are the summaries of the DACAG actions or recommendations related to our priority areas. So for this section, we really just focused on any comment letters that the DACAG submitted. So we just had a couple to cover there, including on, let's see, the energy efficiency portfolios, policies, programs, and evaluation, as well as the capital proceeding letter. So both of those are included in full in an appendix. Keep scrolling. So the report itself is pretty short, and as you can see, the bulk of the length actually comes from our appendix. So as always, we like to include the DACAG equity framework. We also include a summary of each of our meeting minutes for the whole year, as well as the full text of those comment letters I mentioned. So those are the contours of our annual report. Thanks for staff for allowing us to kind of review that live here. Let's see, do we start with member discussion? Any comments regarding this item? Pretty straightforward. Thanks to our agency staff for supporting the compilation of the report. Yeah, do we have any volunteers to help present it to the CPUC and the CEC? I'm certainly open to that, having drafted.
I volunteer you, unless you're not available. I'm willing to be a backup.
Is there a specific date on which this would happen?
So we would coordinate, both agencies would coordinate with whomever the chosen presenter is on dates that are closest to each other, CPUC voting meeting and CEC business meeting. So it'd be in the next few months.
Okay, let's, yeah, I'm happy to take it on. My only hesitation was the fact that I wasn't around for the entire 2025 calendar year. So if there were granular questions on meetings that I didn't attend, I might struggle to answer those. But save for that, I'm very open to it, and Sarah was around the whole time. Councilman Vasquez.
Yeah, I was going to share the same thing because I kind of got on that towards the tail end of December, so I didn't know. But I'm really excited about this. But hey, I'll be there in solitude, or with you, man. So whatever, I'm in for that as well.
Thank you, Councilman.
So just thank you for putting this together.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
Agency staff, could we get you to remark a little bit more on what it looks like to provide sort of the report to staff? Staff have seen this in the background now, so what does a presentation look like above and beyond, sort of covering the contours and high points of the report?
Good afternoon, Chris. This is Ryan over at the CEC. Typically, that is the meat of the presentation is covering kind of the accomplishments and then any vision or pivots that you might be anticipating for new priority areas. Of course, welcome information that would benefit the commissioners in being able to support the work that you all do. You might get some questions about any trends that you see coming up, or any reflections that you've had on the work done in the last calendar year. And that would be largely what the engagement would entail.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm happy to hold that on our behalf. So you can erase me in pencil and write me in pen. That sounds doable for me. So if nothing else on this item, any further member discussion? Not, I'll keep us moving forward with item 8, discussion and possible election of officers for one-year terms to DACAG chair, vice chair, and secretary. So let's turn to DACAG members. We have 3 officer positions available, and we can go one by one. So first, let's find out who's interested in the positions, and then we'll go position by position, have nominees make statements about their interest, and then we'll vote. So we're going to start with the position of secretary. So is there a member interested in supporting note-taking and serving in that function for the DACAG for this year? Okay. This is a little bit of a replay of last time. I do sort of wonder whether we have sufficient membership to form new leadership positions right now, given that we're down several members, so we don't have a full contingent to sort of draw from for these 3 positions. But Elena?
Oh yeah, I was wondering when we will have a full contingent.
I don't know if staff have information that they can share on that.
Hi, Chris. We can share that we are still in the process of, oh, sorry. I see Ryan has come on screen. Ryan, I defer to you. Thank you.
Oh, we were just going to say that we are in the final steps of providing recommendations to our commissioners respectively, and should have additional news for you all within the next month or so.
Great. Well, for now, I'm serving in the pro tem role, though formally I'm vice chair. Erica is still supporting in the secretary function, so I'm curious if we don't have someone interested in serving as secretary for this time around, I would propose tabling this item until we have a full contingent, and then we can revisit. Sarah, would you like to continue serving as secretary? Or I'm sorry, Dorothy's raising her hand as well.
Oh, I apologize. Sarah, you can go ahead and then I can chime in after. I apologize. I'm a little bit distracted. I have a personal situation going on, but I would prefer not to be the secretary, but I'm willing to be vice chair or some other position. But if we can't find anybody else, I suppose I could do it for one more year. But I would really love to have somebody else. I'm happy to help teach them how to do a secretary job.
Thanks for making the pitch, Sarah. Dorothy, I don't know if you want to jump in now.
Oh, thank you. So this was not in regards to the vote for officers. So apologies, Sarah, there. Wanted to chime in on the previous item, which was the annual report. So to adopt the annual report, just as a highlight, we may need to come back to it, vote on it, and then vote on you, Chris, as the person who's going to present the report to the commissions. And if there's a backup, I think Sarah said you would happy to be backup, we'd vote and accept you as the backup. So there'd be 3 votes on that item in order to adopt that report as is, as your report for 2026. So just wanted to highlight, we'd need to come back to that, but continue on, sorry.
Yep, apologies. I might have missed that cue in the notes there.
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay, I say let's close out this item and then we'll return to that one. So we're not leaving too much unfinished. Yeah, maybe a last call for secretary, and if not, I think that indicates to us we should wait for a full contingent so that we have more members to draw from for officer positions potentially. It sounds like we need to vote to kind of confirm interim roles, if I understood you correctly, Dorothy.
For these interim roles, you don't need to confirm on that. I was speaking on the annual report since we haven't finished that. For voting for officers, you can remain as acting chair and Sarah continue on as secretary at this time. If you want to defer, as you want to defer the item to a time when we have a full membership. Or fuller membership. And just wanted to note on that, we are still working on that process. We should have more updates for you all in the coming month.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like we should continue on with the interim roles for now. So maybe let's table this item and we'll return to it in a future meeting. But let's return to the item of the annual report and see if we have sufficient support to approve the report. So let's turn to DACAG members. Sorry, go ahead.
Just wondering, I don't see it as an action item. I don't know if it matters, but does, was this supposed to be listed as an action item?
Indeed, yeah. So that's us, and apologies there. And so we'll need to do public comment as well. So we can move to Zara for public comment and then take a vote on it for inaction.
Okay, thanks for the cues and for bearing with us, folks. Zara, over to you to tee up public comments.
Sure. Sorry, I'm just making sure I have the item number correct.
Item 7.
Great. This is an opportunity to give comments on item 7. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 1 speaker per organization. We'll show a timer on the screen and alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you would like to make a comment so we can call on you. For those online, use the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm. For those joining by phone, press *3 to raise your hand and press *6 to mute or unmute. If you're in person, raise your hand. Seeing no one in the room, go to WebEx. And seeing no raised hands, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Zara. So next we'll vote on item 7, which is the approval of the 2025 annual report for the DACAG. Do we have motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Elena. Do we have a member to second?
Roman, I second.
Thank
Oh,
you,
he's
Roman.
quick. All right.
Quick on the draw. So we will start the vote. Chris, aye. Elena,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Roman,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Tonight, I believe, is absent still, and Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
All right. Well, with 6 votes, the motion carries. We have approved the 2025 DACAG annual report. Thank you very much, everyone. And we've also solved for who's going to present it. So I think we're all set on that item and good to move forward with item 8.
Chris, I think Dorothy wanted us, if I remember correctly, in the past years, we actually separately voted on who was presenting. I don't know why that's necessary.
Yeah. And let's get that clarification from legal. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, they're just 2 separate items on the agenda, so it's just cleaner to do it separately.
Okay.
Are they?
Call again.
Wait, what item number is that? Let's see.
I think there's like an A and a B. 7A versus 7.
I'm sorry, I could have solved for that by phrasing what we were voting for appropriately, but do I have a member who can motion to approve me presenting the report to the CEC and the CPUC?
I will motion.
Thank you, Sarah. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Now we will vote on the second item for item 7, the question of who should present the report to the CEC and the CPUC. I have volunteered to do that, and now we'll take our vote. Starting with myself, I'll vote aye. Elena?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Roman?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tonight is still absent, and Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
And with that, we have 6 votes, and the motion carries. I will present the report for 2025 to the CEC and the CPUC. And with that, I think we're actually done with this item and good to move on to priority areas. Unless, Dorothy, you have...
Yeah, we don't need the backup one? Oh. I thought there was like something. I thought they said we needed...
Is there a third vote? I'm
hoping
sorry
not.
if I missed something.
We probably should have included that in the motion, but let's just assume that they'll work with your schedule.
All right. just in case, you never know, you might be called up, You're
All right. I apologize if I missed something in the flow there.
No,
I'm
that's
really
okay.
bad at multitasking. So,
So I do have a question though. Since you're presenting, is there availability for other folks to attend? Just in support of solidarity or whatever. That was a question that I had earlier. If I'm available, I would like to attend with you.
Yes, Councilman, this is Ryan. The CC, speaking for our abilities to patch you in, would be more than happy to do so, and can make special arrangements to make sure that you're set up as a presenter, et cetera.
Okay.
And I'll I'll pass it to Zara to speak on WebEx, which we have.
I was just unaware if it was in person or if it was just online or so.
Typically, that's something we work out with with the chair and any supporting presenters that show interest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is Zara from the CPUC. We've had it both ways where presenters have either presented virtually or in person. I think always the hope is that someone attends in person, but certainly not a requirement.
thank you, Zara. And Ryan, do we need to vote on Councilman Vasquez being there? I'd rather be abundantly cautious right now than encounter some strange issue later.
You do not, sir.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to make another thing. I'm sorry. I'll leave it alone.
No, you do not.
Thank you for confirming. With that, I think we are good to move on to item 9, and we are tracking 7 minutes ahead of schedule. So thanks, everybody. Item 9, priority areas. DACAG members will provide updates and announcements regarding DACAG priority areas and associated activities. Members may discuss and revise items related to the 2026 priority areas, including identification of SMEs. Moving to item 9, do we have any DACAG member priority area updates? Okay, well, returning to the item from public comment, Roger Lynn from the Center for Biological Diversity asked that the DACAG consider a supplemental letter making more specific our request to sort of lower the threshold that would prevent someone from having their electric service disconnected, and ask that the DACAG consider score 2 as that threshold. If I'm not mistaken, we might have some members more sophisticated on this, Sarah, so I don't know if we have anything to discuss there, or if we can.
No, I support, I guess it's just, I support either sending an updated letter, or I don't know what the best procedural way to do it is. I think it's still in the spirit of the letter we originally submitted. So I don't know if it's like an update or an addendum or a correction or a separate letter. Those are all options, but if everybody else thinks it's important to be more specific and respond to the public comment, we can. So I guess I would be interested to hear if others think it's important.
Through the chair.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I said through the chair, if I could ask perhaps Rachel or Vanessa to quickly remind us what mechanisms are available to get the DACAG's feedback across. It could give you some options for how to proceed in this conversation under your desired timeline. Rachel, do you think you could remind us, like if they could take a vote and make it on a narrow statement, or if a letter would be required, and what the differences might be.
Yeah, sorry, could you just clarify which specific area they would like to comment on? Is it just the SB 350 or? Sorry,
So Chris, if it would be helpful, maybe if you could restate the thrust of what you might be seeking a motion on or writing a letter about, for example, that might help us narrow in on the appropriate mechanism for you.
Yes. So Rachel, in a previous meeting, the DACAG approved a comment letter on disconnections, and we have already submitted that letter. We had a public comment asking the DACAG to consider a slightly more specific reference as to the threshold at which folks can't have their utilities disconnected in terms of extreme heat. And we're wondering what mechanisms exist that would allow the DACAG to provide formal feedback on that within the timeline that we have. I'm not sure what our deadline is for the disconnections proceeding. I think that was noted earlier, though.
And I can answer that since it's CPUC related. I think I did hear that there was maybe a PD coming out during the summertime. So it sounds like it's not urgent to conduct this today, but if you wanted to have a discussion to be able to put together a revised letter, as far as I understand from Zara, the last letter has already been submitted to the disconnections proceeding. And so perhaps it makes sense to have an addendum or, an additional letter with this specific issue addressed, and that can be discussed today with the idea of voting on a letter in the near future.
Okay.
Can I just jump in here real quick to note that we don't have quorum for the next meeting? I know I will also be absent, and so we would not be able to vote on anything until July, which I believe might be too late.
If that's too late, I don't want to speak for the CPUC, but at least if you need to speak with, if there's any issue that you would like to discuss with the CEC, like the commissioner's office could set up a meeting and have a one-on-one meeting to get your informal feedback in that way as well.
Okay. In this case, I actually I wonder if we couldn't put together a couple of sentences right now that the DACAG could approve as an addendum that we can submit shortly following this meeting. So if folks are open to that, I would appreciate support from agency staff firing up a Google Doc or a SharePoint doc and putting that up on the screen for us to come up with some language live to supplement what we've submitted. And if I can have Sarah or folks who have engaged in this area a little bit more or familiar with the exact reference Roger was making to the climate scores, I want to be precise in that language possible.
Yes, sorry. Searching for my exact language. Okay. So what we would be adding, and I could, if, okay, there, Elena just put some language in the chat.
That's the language from our previous letter.
We had previously, okay.
Just so we know what we already wrote.
Should we put that in the, oh, I see. Is that our actual comment letter that we have of it? Look, we can look at it.
And I had a, oh no, go ahead, sorry.
What's the best way to do this?
I would propose, given the length of the letter and the time it would take to exhaustively make sure that we haven't contradicted ourselves, I think that we should submit an addendum that overrides any relevant content that mentions climate zones or thresholds related to heat.
I don't think it's contradictory what we said. I think we're just adding more specific requests. So would you like me to read it or cut it and paste? How would you like me to do it?
Yeah,
I can read what I would suggest we put is we urge the commission, and I don't know if somebody wants to type it as an addendum. Like, are we going to, I don't think we're going to edit the current letter. I think we were just going to add it maybe like as a, I don't want to say PS, but an addendum, an addition at the end, maybe.
Okay.
So I could put it in the chat. That might be easier, and then you can put it on there so everybody can see it. Is that the best way? Maybe that might be the best way to do it. Okay. Should I send it to you? Who is it? Dorothy, should I send it to you?
You can send it to all.
Okay.
If you have all, you can send it to all. If not, send it to me and I'll put it all.
I have everyone there.
Okay, yeah. Basically everyone.
Yeah. So the issue is that there is a specific measure of like heat scores that is used in California. And so we wanted to be more specific about which heat score, California heat score, we believe should be used. And so that's these, I believe, 3 sentences or 2 sentences here. Or maybe it's more than, maybe it's like a paragraph. So I can read it, but I just put it in the chat for her to add. So we urge the commission to adopt the most protective measures for California ratepayers by requiring the immediate adoption of the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessments Cal Heat Score 2, level 2. So the California Heat Score data interface is now available, and the implementation timeline should be as expedient as possible. During the interim period, the commission should adopt an interim level of 90 degrees. In order to maintain compliance with decision 2506012, the protections need to be stronger than those in place today, 100 degrees. According to the Office of Health Hazard Assessment, the average CHS temperature thresholds near Fresno and Bakersfield are 95 degrees for level 2 and 101 degrees for level 3. Therefore, CHS level 2 must be adopted as the trigger for greater protections in order to comply with D 2506012. And
thank you, Sarah, for the quick work on that.
I believe that it's I think this is really important because we are approaching a very hot summer. That we all know may be exceeding some heat records. And so the sooner that this can be put in place and adopted, and consumers' energy cannot be disconnected, the better.
Thank you very much. So now, unless there's any member discussion, do we have a motion to approve this addendum, providing more specificity, specifically using Cal Heat Score CHS2 as our threshold for preventing utility disconnections during extreme heat? Do we have a member to make a motion? Or, I'm sorry, agency staff, I apologize if this is a bad process. Do we need to open it up for public comment? I'm going to need those cues for a while. So thanks for bearing with me.
If it's a voting item, yes, we do have to open out for public comment.
All right, I think we're ready for that. If we have no member discussion, I'm not seeing any raised hands for the moment.
Okay, great. This is
So somebody needs to make a motion, right? Is that what you're asking for? Or we're asking for public comment, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have to take public comment first. This is an opportunity to give comments on item 9. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 1 speaker per organization. The timer will be shown on the screen and we will alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you would like to make a comment so we can call on you. For those online, please use the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm. For those joining by phone, press *3 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. Seeing no one in the room, we'll go to WebEx. Seeing no raised hands, I'll pass it back.
Thank you, Zara. I want to be clear that what we're submitting is just the additional text that Sarah helped to craft just now as an addendum to what we have already submitted, given that the previous letter has already been submitted. Do we have any member discussion? All right, hearing none. Do we have a motion to approve this addendum providing more specificity around heat thresholds for preventing utility disconnections?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Vasquez. Do we have a member who seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you. Who was that? Was that Elena
Jen.
or Sarah? Jen? Thank you, Jen. I'm working on my voice recognition, so apologies for that. Let's take a roll call vote. Please say aye if you're in favor, nay if you oppose, or indicate if you abstain. Nope. Absence from the meeting related to this item. I don't think that applies here. Member votes. We'll start with me, and I vote aye. Elena?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Roman?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Sinite is absent, and Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
With that, we have 6 votes. The motion carries to submit this addendum, adding specificity to our heat thresholds for utility disconnections. Thanks, everybody, for working through this item. This item is couched within our general priority areas item. So is there any additional discussion for any of the other priority areas? Sorry, Elena, did you have something on utility disconnections or additional priority area items? Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and update folks that Chris, Roman, and I had a meeting, an SME meeting on the 2026 to 2030 EPIC investment plan, for which I'm currently actually looking at Chris's notes. Thanks for taking notes. And there's a lot of great research areas. The initiatives generally fall into there's a focus on resilience, there's a focus on reliability, trying to incorporate EV charging into, I think, grid benefits, working on building scale decarbonization, using distributed energy resources for load flexibility, accelerating connection of beneficial loads, which we all know is super important. Community-led clean energy and capacity building for California Native American tribes and community-based organizations, research on supply chains and clean energy supply chains, and industrial decarb, and I think one that seemed focused mostly on environmental and health benefits of the clean energy transition. So thanks to staff for presenting that. And I think there are a bunch of really good research areas that are upcoming in the next EPIC round.
I'm sorry, is EPIC part of which of these categories? Forget. Is it number 1 or number 2? Probably number 2 because you're listed there, Elena.
Maybe. I think there might have been a standalone category for previous SMEs that we were part of, and I don't know what it got folded into in the 2026 priority areas. So, Chris, I don't know where you put it.
Yeah, Dorothy would like to chime in. I think we have fuller descriptions for those priority areas somewhere, but Dorothy, do you know offhand?
Oh, offhand, so I just wanted to give some context as to how y'all were pulled into or were requested to be on this SME. It's based on previous, since at the time staff requested this, the new priority areas were not out, and so so planning had been going on, but yeah.
So Epic, because I think Epic used to be a category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
But I can open the full list momentarily.
It's fine. I just was trying to figure out what to put in the notes.
All right. Thanks again to CEC staff for engaging us around Epic. Do we have any other DACAG priority area updates? Okay, well, full speed ahead. If we're good to move on to our next item, item 10, that brings us to the Low-Income Oversight Board. And if we have any DACAG member updates regarding engagement with the LIOB, we'd like to get any updates now. Ramon, for others, do we have any updates?
No updates on my end.
Thank you. We'll look forward to engaging LIOB future cycles, but we can roll to item 11 for now, agency announcements. So I'd like to hand it to CEC and CPUC staff to provide any agency announcements, starting with CEC.
Thank you so much, Chris. Wanted to highlight there's a couple funding opportunities we'll send today. It will send your way today, coming from staff. There's also a couple events we wanted to highlight. So as you know, there's the Clean Energy Hall of Fame Awards. That one typically happens closer to the end of the year. However, nominations are going on now. And so for everyone listening and for all of you as well, reach out to your networks. I'm sure there are so many folks who do this work in addition to y'all, who should be recognized or haven't gotten the chance to be recognized. Any youth game changers, just wanted to highlight that. You know, youth coming up, fighting for this clean energy future that is going to be their future. So if folks have folks, or if folks know of youth, any folks who are not necessarily youth, and any folks who you think may merit a Lifetime Achievement Award as well, for all their work in getting us closer to that clean energy future, please feel free to forward that link, and I'll add it to the chat here. And so, yeah, just wanted to point that out. It's something that started really to recognize this work, and it's great. It's amazing to see how it's grown, but it really is recognizing all the work that this group does, not necessarily this specific group, but folks who are represented in this group, community members from all over California. So thank you. And tacking on from there is the Electrification Summit that is coming up June 10th, I believe. And so that's going to be here at the California Energy Commission. We've had several of these over the past few years. It's been a great venue to see where electrification will go, and a lot has come from here. It's great to get voices in the room, talking about planning, not just industry, but the community as well. So if folks have, so I'll send that link as well, so folks can see that, participate, share it with your networks as well. And for the events that were mentioned earlier, those the meetings, other meetings that are happening throughout the month, we'll make sure you get those today as well. Thank you. And I'll pass it to CPUC. Actually, sorry, let me see if Ryan has an update, and then we'll pass it to CPUC. Sorry.
Nothing further. Great job, Dorothy.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Zara with the CPUC. We have one update. Commissioner Hauk touched on it, but wanted to highlight the high DER proceeding track 2 distributed energy resources orchestration workshop. This is our first workshop. It'll be on DER orchestration, IOU applications and framework. So pursuant to the assigned commissioner's ruling on track 1 and track 2 of the distributed energy resources orchestration filed on March 23rd, 2026, Energy Division staff will lead an upcoming workshop under track 2. The workshop will focus on the development of a distributed energy resources orchestration framework application. The track 2 DER orchestration framework workshop will be held on May 21st from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and will be virtual and in person at the CPUC auditorium at headquarters in San Francisco. And that's all I have.
I'm sorry, what was the date?
May 21st, 9:30 to 5 p.m.
Thank you, Zara and Dorothy. Sound like some great engagement points coming up. Appreciate the updates. If nothing else from agencies, Dorothy, you got one more for us?
I do, and I want to ask an apology real quick. We do want, after deferring to, after discussion, we do want a vote on a backup for the annual report presentation. So apologies again. So if we could have that vote, that would put us on a safer side. Yeah.
Let's do it. Better safe than sorry. I think we're pretty efficient at it by now. Let me
everything. Hold on.
Scroll up there. Yep.
Okay.
So we would like to return to item 7, and this would be 7B, B.1, perhaps, voting on a backup to present the annual report to CPUC and CEC staff. So Councilman Vasquez or Sarah, I'm not sure if that's specifically what you volunteered for earlier, but are either of you interested in serving as backup or any other members for that point?
Yes. Oops.
Yeah, I was going just to kind of get the feel of what it was, but for the solidarity purpose, just to be there. But if it's virtual or whatever, I just I was unaware of how it was presented before. So
I can be backup. I believe I would probably try to be there in person. They do most of their meetings in person now. Sorry, I'm having issues with my mouse.
Okay. Any further member discussion about Sarah as backup? And sounds like Councilman Vasquez is still good to join as an observing participant. All right. If no further member discussion, I think next we open it up for public comment before we can vote.
Should we call this like item 7C since we should have put it on B, but we're not redoing B, right? Sorry, this is procedural.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want it to be 7B1, 7B2, or C? I think we just need to have kind of a container for this vote.
Yeah, we should have done it. Okay.
All right, so we'll call it C, and it can be possible designation of a member to serve as backup to present the report to CPUC and CEC staff. With that, I think we're good to take public comment.
Great. This is an opportunity to provide public comments on item 7C. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and 1 speaker per organization. We'll show a timer on the screen and we'll alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you would like to make a comment so we can call on you. Use the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm on WebEx. Press *3 to raise your hand if you're calling on the phone, and press *6 to mute and unmute. Seeing no one in the room, we'll go to WebEx. I see no raised hands on WebEx. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Zara. So for this item, possible designation member to serve as backup presenter for the 2025 draft annual report of the DACAG to the CPUC and CEC. Do we have a motion to approve Sarah Sharp as the backup?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Elena and Councilman Vasquez. Let's take a roll call vote. Please say aye if you're in favor, nay if you're opposed, or indicate if you'd like to abstain. I'll start us off. Chris, aye. Elena?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Roman?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Sinite, I believe, is still absent. Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
All right, and with that, we have 6 votes, so the motion carries to approve Sarah as backup. And sorry about my dog. That means my kids are home from school.
I see the,
All right,
the look of
so
panic.
I think we've wrapped up item 7 for real this time. Let's see. Now we can return to item.
Leave one on item 12.
Thank you, Sarah. So moving to item 12, agenda setting and attendance, I'd like to take this opportunity to see if there are any topics DACAG members would like to propose for future meetings. And if you have a time frame of when you'd like that topic discussed, please share that as well. So any topics from DACAG members?
I have one.
Sarah?
Yes. I would like a report on equitable building decarbonization program from CEC.
Yes, this is Ryan. Just want to seek a little clarification. Would you prefer to do that in a agenda setting context or during the full DACAG meeting? Do you want an SME engagement to kind of scope things out and drill down? You have a few options that we could think about.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe an SME first. I just know that the programs have launched now, and there is some interest and community. There's some community interest in what is happening, and what is the official venue for seeking public feedback. So we can discuss it in an SME meeting first, but I think at some point we would want to have it on our public agenda.
And at the sake of being too in the weeds, which priority area would you want to identify, just for the record? And then also,
this would fit under building and industrial decarbonization and clean fuels.
And then which SMEs? It would probably be a good idea to nominate some that could navigate the contours of any conflict of interest. So having an SME group that could conceivably carry out the delegation from the chair on how to explore this, I think would be helpful. And I would ask that Rachel provide some additional information as needed, as you all need legal advice. We could navigate this.
Sure. Yes.
So yeah, having an SME group.
Elena, Roman, myself, and Sinite are part of that SME group, and by then I would probably need to recuse myself. I'm currently not part of any program administrator teams. But also, this is more of a procedural discussion question more than a program specific kind of thing. But either way, I could either recuse myself or participate, however you guys.
Yeah, Sarah.
I think 3 members are able to participate still.
Yeah, Sarah, you or anyone else who has different issues come up, COI related issues come up, just feel free to email me and Renee, and you can include Vanessa as well. But if it's specifically like having to do with CEC related issues, you can definitely email me and Renee, and we can take a look and speak with you about the issues.
Sure. I guess my request was more for there to be a public discussion of this program, regardless of if I'm part of it or not, because I know there's a lot of interest.
Understood. And in discussions with staff, we're committed to having that discussion, and it would be desired to bring it to the DACAG leadership to agendize, just like any other item, but on an urgent as possible timeline and feasible, given our ability to get that agendized for you all.
Is that a question for Sarah about timing for engagement around this topic?
I think he was just saying it, making a statement.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
Correct.
Wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Ramon?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, just kind of building off of the presentation we got today from the Energy Commission on Clean Transportation Plan. I was wondering if we can agendize something on the CPUC and any recent activities that they've had on transportation electrification. I believe there was a recent program that's tied to the low carbon fuel standard, the Clean Fuel Rewards program that just launched recently in the last few days. And I also heard there was some activity in regards to the transportation electrification proceeding. So yeah, I think either SME or a full DACAG presentation on recent TE activities.
Thank you, Ramon. I do know that the CEC is definitely going to be engaging the DACAG around the IPER process. So any advance engagement around that to sort of tee up any deeper engagement, if that needs to be a multi-part thing, then I think I'd be interested in that. Also on my mind from earlier today is the topic of interconnection more generally. So wanting to understand if we have good data that we can look at collectively about interconnection timelines for clean energy and transportation projects within DACs versus outside of DACs. That's what's on my mind. Any other members have potential topics? Councilman Vasquez?
I think it's kind of early. I just kind of want to apprise you of it. There's a 5 kW line that's getting put in from Imperial to just to the south of us in San Diego, but it's going through a lot of different tribal and or communities around us, and we're looking for more information. I think they're on the pre planning stage right now, so nothing's legitimate, but it's called Golden Link, I believe it's called. But it's goes from Imperial Valley all the way down to Carlsbad. So it's kind of from, I guess, connecting south to north right now. But it's going to be a topic. I think it's all over the, on all social media things right now as far as some connectivity and some reliability things. And then, of course, taking into account some of a natural resource disturbance as well as cultural resource disturbance as well. So a little bit more on that. I just kind of want to put it on your radar. I think SDG&E is kind of talking about doing this, so just so you're aware.
Thank you, Councilman. What sort of project did you mention this was?
It's actually a 500 kW. I guess they're going for a path. It's a big power project. It's gonna be
Is that transmission?
Yeah, transmission.
Oh,
yes.
sounds like okay.
Yeah, transmission. So there's a little bit more to report on that. I think I just wanted to put that on your radar. It'll probably be, I don't know when I'm gonna decide to make it a topic, but something I'm thinking about.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other topics from members? Lena?
That is just opening up a broader idea that I had, which is that if we do any DACAG site visits, I was wondering if we could visit the California ISO and get a tour of it. Anyway, that's like a down the road kind of thing, but could be interesting.
Sorry, Lena, just for clarification, you said CAISO, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you, Elena. Anybody else? All right. Well, Councilman and Elena, you still got your hands up, but I think we've covered you for now. If no other topics, let's see. Are there members expecting to be absent from future meetings that you would like to flag? Elena?
I already flagged that I'm gone in June, but a reminder, I'm gone in June.
Thank you, Elena. Councilman Vasquez?
Myself as well for the 12th.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else? Roman?
Yeah, just looking at my calendar, we have a staff retreat on June 12th, so I will also be absent.
Should we cancel the meeting or reschedule it if we do not have even close to quorum? Seems like
something we can look at.
Either cancel it or
Dorothy.
So just for planning purposes, if folks could check their calendars and get back to maybe me and Zara like today, tomorrow, on the following Friday or the Friday following that, we could see if on our planning side, if that's something we can execute, to be able to be a little more, to make things a little more feasible, so y'all can meet. If that turns out to not be possible, I think we are meeting DACAG leadership. That is Sarah, Chris. You're meeting on Tuesday with the rest of the staff, so we'd probably be able to update you at that time, and we could talk about whether what your options are for June.
Thank you, Dorothy. So our homework is to consider our calendars for the 19th and for the 26th. It looks like the 19th is Juneteenth, so I won't be at work for that.
Yeah, and we generally don't meet when on that. Well, it's also a holiday, but we try to avoid.
Yeah.
So the 26th might be the one remaining viable option that we can collectively look at. So I think that's the homework, is to look at your calendar and let staff know about the 26th. Staff have not committed to the 26th and have to look at whether that's actually doable, but sounds like we'll get that response offline. Any other meeting absences folks need to flag? Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry, Councilman, did you have
Oh no, I'm good. I was reaffirming my goodness, looking at my calendar. I was like, ooh.
Right on.
All right, thank you.
So up next, item 13, public comment, general public comment regarding items on or off our agenda related to the work done by the DACAG. So if agency staff can please provide the instructions, we're ready to go.
Thank you, Chris. This is the final opportunity to give comment at this meeting on any matters related to the DACAG or today's agenda. This includes informational items. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 1 speaker per organization. We'll show a timer on the screen and alert you when your time is up. All comments will become part of the public record. Please let us know if you'd like to make a comment so we can call on you. For those online, please use the raise hand feature that looks like an open palm. For those joining by phone, press *3 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. Let's check online. See if there are any raised hands. Seeing none, I'll pass it back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Zara. I'm getting some flags about that last item. We're getting some helpful input that our charter provides that the place, time, and location of each meeting shall be scheduled at the preceding meeting. So that does tie our hands a little bit in terms of being able to kick the decision to offline. So yeah, if we could have members look now at your calendars for that last Friday of the month. And staff, I don't know if it's even possible for you to remark on whether the 26th would be possible. We need to either decide whether we would be canceling the meeting for the original date of the 12th or keeping it with the members that we do have, though it's clear we wouldn't be able to take on any voting items. I am free on the 26th and would be able to.
I am also free on the 26th. But if we can't confirm with staff, I would prefer to cancel because I don't want to join a meeting that has 3 people.
I'm
I can
available
also
on
do
the
the 26th.
Sorry, we'll go Elena and then Roman.
I can do it on the 26th.
Roman?
I can do it on the 26th.
Councilman?
I'm available on the 26th.
Jim?
Uh-oh.
I'm not.
See Ryan's face.
Sorry, looks like we're getting a potential veto. Ryan Young?
I'm afraid that I need to advise you that we have the CEC's business meeting on that day. And that severely impacts our capacity to support this meeting. I want to be a team player, but I don't think that staff can pull this off on the 26th of this month.
Do staff have cognizance now of what agenda items you might have brought to that next meeting? If there are items that the existing members for that day would just be able to provide feedback on, those items are probably okay. But if we're taking on items that need a vote, we either need to cancel the meeting and handle them in a different one or figure something out in terms of rescheduling.
And you know, Chris, I'm looking at my calendar. Sorry, my heartbeat just is going up a little bit. But it's not the 26th of this month that we have the business. I'm sorry. It is the 26th of this month that we have the business meeting. Friday, the 26th of June, we do not. However, we do have an agency policy that we don't have meetings on that day, and I need a little bit of time, and it doesn't sound like we have that time. So I'm not really sure how to proceed.
I just want to jump in.
That we cancel. I think I'm going to no longer be available that day.
Okay.
That's what
Say
that was.
it does impact. We will be meeting again 3 weeks after that date, which will, so this would also impact our ability to start planning for the next one because it would kind of start to domino. Not to mention that, you know, we're going to probably have the same quorum situation for June. So I realize you all just kind of went through, but just want everyone to be aware of that.
For July, right, Cheryl?
Well, for June, we'll have the same quorum situation we have right now. So I would say July is probably when we're probably more likely to have the full board.
Okay. I begrudge asking for the cancellation, but it sounds like that's the most reasonable course of action. But Ryan, did you have?
No, I'm lowering my hand. I apologize.
Okay, so agency staff, is there anything we need to consider in asking, unfortunately, to cancel the June meeting? We don't need to vote on that or anything, do we?
No, no, you do not need to vote on that. It's a decision that's made by you as the group, and so you can cancel at this time.
Okay, we'll move forward with canceling the June 12th DACAG meeting and plan to reconvene at our scheduled meeting for July. Yeah, I hope personally.
The date of that?
Sorry?
I need to put it in the minutes. The date, July, what is the date?
Let's see.
17th.
July 17th. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Zara. So we'll be reconvening on July 17th. Yeah, I was just conveying my personal hope that it's the only one for the year we have to skip. But yeah, thanks everybody for giving it your best effort to turn out to each meeting and handle conflicts. Know that some of them are not ones that we can get out of, though, unfortunately. So we'll have to catch up in July. But on to item 13, public comment.
We opened for public comment and there were no commenters. We just returned back to the previous item. So I think
Yes.
we can adjourn.
Item 14, adjourn. So thanks everybody. This has been our May DACAG meeting. Our next meeting will be Friday, July 17th at 1 p.m. We'll see everybody back then. Have a great weekend.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good weekend.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.